just know that there are better and more right fit clients for you out there. And everyone goes through this. Literally, everyone goes through this. You are not alone, and you can do this. I know it may seem hard, but it's kind of a muscle that you have to continually. Hello everyone, I am back, and today we are just going full casual, going full real, authentic. I've been putting off recording my podcast simply because I wasn't really like getting ready for the days and wasn't doing, my hair, my makeup, putting on this outfit, but I was encouraged and also recognized in myself that, you know what, like, just do it as you are, come as you are. Like, we often hold ourselves back from posting on social media, from doing the YouTube video, from doing the podcast, from things like that. And I don't want to let those things, such as my appearance, hold me back from sharing content and sharing, my message and things like that. So you're getting the real, raw me. This is how I look, I feel like 90% of the time with, sweatshirt, lounge clothes, no makeup on. So that's what we're going with today. And I know I've been a little off my cadence with these podcast episodes, and kind of two parts to this. The first being life has just been a bit more chaotic lately with, visitors, with us traveling, which I'll get into. And secondly, I've hired support to help me with this, which is amazing, but we had to make sure our back end and SOPs and everything was, set up, and we had a clear process moving forward. So we just took a little bit of time off to make sure that we had that set up so that we can be consistent and get more content and get into the groove and rhythm. So I'm super excited about that. And part of that is me delivering, these podcast episodes on time, making sure I can batch these things. So that's why it's been a little bit more inconsistent this summer. But good news is I'm turning this little corner into my podcasting space. So this will look hopefully much nicer as it comes together, but going to work on, getting my mic more set up, a sign maybe would be awesome. So definitely improvements, things we're working on, because I love doing this podcast and I don't want it to feel, like a quote unquote like work, or a burden or something that I have to do. I want it to be something that I want to do, and that is super exciting. And so that's really what I've been working on. And let's just do a little catch up because, like I said, it's been a little bit and life has been just moving quickly, I feel, towards the end of this summer, mainly with a lot of just wedding planning stuff, which is so super exciting. And we just got back, I'm recording this on a Wednesday, we got back on Sunday from a trip back east. So we are, from the East Coast, I'm from Massachusetts, and we did a whole wedding venue tour, I guess you could say. And that was super fun. And we knew that, we wanted our wedding on the East Coast. And, obviously with that, we want to see these venues before we book them. And we really wanted to get something booked before the end of the summer. So this meant kind of a last minute, spontaneous trip for us. But it ended up working out. We toured 4 venues. I'm not gonna say quite yet what our venue is and what our date is, but we did secure a venue, we did secure a date, which is super exciting, and the main 2 things that we were looking to accomplish, and just, those are big things to check off of the wedding planning to-do list. So that was amazing, and we got to spend just, such quality and present time doing these really important and huge life things. But just, got to spend that time enjoying it together and seeing our friends and family. And we had our engagement party on Saturday, which was so special. Our families just planned us the most incredible gathering of, our most favorite people. And it was just so lovely. And we were just definitely like on such a high and feeling so grateful and just, just so loved and fulfilled from the whole thing. And with that, we were probably equally as exhausted just with all of the traveling. We took a red eye and we didn't sleep at all, and that just threw off our whole schedule. Obviously, the time zone difference, and just we were go, go, go the whole time we were there and trying to work at the same time. So we were pretty exhausted. I feel like I'm slightly still recovering right now, but those things always take more out of you than, you expect. So yeah, that was a big whirlwind of a trip, but that was kind of the last, shebang for the rest of the summer. And I can't believe summer is kind of coming to a close, which it's so bittersweet for me because I love summer and I love fall. So it's a weird time for me. But like I said, we're pulling out the sweatshirts already. So I don't know what that tells you. Anyway, so that's just what's been going on, exciting things. But, I think a big lesson for me with a lot of this is that at this point in my life, at this point in my business, I'm not willing to sacrifice, the important life things and my health for my business. And sometimes that means that I don't get content up. Sometimes that means, I'm not able to do, as consistent of the podcast and YouTube and things like that. But I know at the end of the day and at the end of my life even, and what this whole podcast is about, in terms of really embracing this one life we have and creating that. The things that are most important to me are, the life things, are the my wedding planning and, spending time with my friends and family. So that's just been kind of an important reflection. And it's so crazy how, especially as entrepreneurs, we get so down on ourselves and put so much pressure on ourselves and feel so guilty for not posting enough, for not creating enough content, for not showing enough of our lives. And I don't know, I've just really been in a season of holding a lot of things as sacred and special and private, and just not beating myself up for not doing those things, and just knowing that it's okay and the business is still going, without me having to spend ton of extra hours and just draining myself and just making myself exhausted over just trying to get content up. So that's just been, a big lesson, a big kind of theme that I've seen in my life, I'd say primarily this summer. And yeah, I wanted to mention that, and hopefully that can help if you've been feeling similarly. I kind of want to talk more about this in other podcast episodes too, so I don't want to go down the rabbit hole, but that's been life. And I have I've been doing these podcast episodes definitely more geared towards social media managers, as it's kind of just been a topic that's been always very near and dear to my heart. And it kind of relates to just how I'm choosing to run my social media management business. And I really want to share these lessons with other social media managers. So today we are talking about kind of a touchy subject, but we're talking about letting go of and firing clients. Yep, I know. We're all oh, okay. Because, I think it's one of those things that people don't talk about enough, but it's also one of those things where, because we don't talk about it enough, there's not a lot of information on how to go about this. And sometimes we feel are other people doing this? Is it weird if I do this or let go of a client or fire a client? Sometimes think of, we're in business to, get clients and make money. Why would we let go of that, right? Doesn't that seem totally backwards? And so we're going to be covering, a bit more about, that kind of dichotomy there, but also, signs to look out for, how to go about this process, and just kind of overall reminders and you may need to hear from this, and lessons that I've learned along the way. So let's just start out by, touching upon, okay, right, isn't the whole point of business to have clients and, be making this money? Why would we let go of that? And I feel if you're very early into starting your business, if you are a new social media manager, if you're thinking about it, you may be having these thoughts. But if you're more seasoned social media management or have, you know, been in it for a little bit, you probably understand because at the end of the day, not every client is for you and you are not for every client. So a lot of people talk about niching down, right? And choosing who specifically is your ideal client. Who do you want to be serving? So there's a big recognition in that you cannot serve everyone, right? Not everyone is a good fit for you. And so sometimes, whether it be even working with a client for a while, or you decide to work with a client and then you realize, you know, either quickly or down the road that it is just not a good fit, that is when you should, and it's okay to let go and fire this client. And while it can be a sticky situation, while it may be tough, you know, to navigate, we have to recognize for ourselves and for our business that it's first just not good for your mental health, that it's probably causing you more stress and anguish than it is, you know, lighting you up. And secondarily, you want to make sure that you're building a business that is sustainable and scalable and profitable. And that comes from working with the right people who pay you the prices that you should be paid, who respect you and your boundaries, and who overall you love to work with. That's the whole point of why, you know, you're doing this in the first place, is to do work that you love and are passionate about, and to serve people who, you know, you have an incredible relationship with and who you believe, you know, in their business, and who is truly just a good working, you know, fit and relationship. So once you recognize that, you'll start to know and learn along the way who is an ideal client, right? Like, how can I either identify these signs before signing or very early after signing a client? So let's talk a little bit about these signs and what to look out for, because I know from personal experience that when I first started my business, you're kind of in, you know, the take any client that comes your way mode. And then you learn very quickly what you like, what you don't like, what you are willing to, you know, put up with, quote unquote, what you're not willing to put up with. And so for me, the biggest kind of telltale signs that sometimes are difficult to truly know until you're working with someone, really, I think starts simply with a gut feeling and just an inner knowing. And I know that's like not a concrete answer, but it is one of the best, you know, ways that I will coach, you know, mentees on. And it typically is that you know in your bones, you know in your gut, if something is truly not a good fit. And sometimes you don't listen to that feeling, right? You don't listen to that inner nudge, you know, kind of brain and the logic take over. But I encourage you to listen to your inner intuition and listen to what your gut is telling you when it comes to choosing who you want to work with, because it's always right. Again, I know it's so cliche, but it is so, so true. And that is the number one piece of guidance that I can give you in this entire process. Now, for some more concrete signs, let's dive into that. So before you sign a client, these are some signs that I would say to look out for and just keep a feel on, keep a tab on, right? So firstly, you know, have they followed your process for your inquiries, right? Have they gone through what you have outlined are the steps to take on a new client? Have they applied to work with you, filled out your form, book a call, DM you, whatever it is, right? Have they gone through that proper process? And with that, have they followed through on each part, right? So let's say, you know, you have a call scheduled. Do they show up for the call? Are they on time for the call, right? Are they present on the call, right? And then the other biggest things on how to kind of tell if someone is an ideal client are the types of questions that you're asking them in the application or in a like like a lead form, let's say. I always recommend people to have specific questions in there that can help guide you to make these decisions, where if you're having someone who, is saying that they have a minuscule budget, but they are, looking for a million bajillion things for you to do, that's probably a red flag, right? If someone comes to you and they're filling out, that they have gone through 5 social media managers and they're looking for someone who is like, on at all times of the day and who can get back to them in 2 seconds and who, like can do all of these, posts per week or whatever it is, that's probably a red flag, right? So we can notice based on what we're intaking from them, even before a call, based on their answers. Okay, am I seeing red flags pop up here? If they are wanting you to bypass any part of your process, meaning let's say, you are not taking people on until maybe a month or 2 months down the line, but they're saying, I want to get started as soon as possible. If it is a situation where you have a certain onboarding period and they either don't understand that, they don't respect that, they want to bypass that, that is a red flag as well if they are not respecting your process. So these are things that we can notice, even like I said, before you hop on a call with someone. When you're on the call, you want to make sure that, you are leading this call. So this isn't, necessarily an interview. So if they're treating this as wanting to, interview you like you're going to be an employee, that's not the role, right? It's a two-way street where you're kind of interviewing them as much as they are, kind of interviewing you. So making sure that you're able to lead this call and ask the questions that you want to ask, and also see, are they respectful of your time? Are they really just like trying to get a consult out of you or strategy call out of you in this free call? Like, these are all like little signs that you can see throughout the process. And it all comes down to respect, right? It all comes down to how they treat the people who work for them and their understanding of what your role will be. So if you can just tell that they don't understand, what a social media manager is, they don't understand, your sort of boundaries or policies put in place, I would say stop right there. So that's all in terms of before you decide to work with a client. Now, when it actually comes to you decided to work with this client, you've been working with them, there's a lot of things that could lead you to decide to want to fire this client and let go of this client. And I have been there many times, and honestly too, there's been times that reflection for myself is not letting them go earlier. And because once you recognize it at that point, what are you holding on for, right? Like, you're typically holding on maybe for like just to have a client there, to have like money, right? Or like a certain part in your financial plan. But really, you're just actually putting your mental health on the line, right? Like, you are deciding to have a relationship that you either don't agree with, that doesn't feel comfortable to you. And that's disrespecting yourself, right? That's disrespecting your business and what you are building. So let's say you're working with a client and kind of similar patterns, right? Of like not respecting your working hours, not respecting your policies and your boundaries. They're asking for things at the drop of a hat. They're asking for multiple revisions. They're wanting to hop on a call with you all the time to discuss certain things. They are nitpicking your work. They are, just every little thing. They are micromanaging. They are either not listening to your expertise and just trying, they hired you to be an expert and to lead them, but they're combating everything that you're saying and just want to do, what they want to do, right? These are all huge signs that, again, it all comes personally to what you feel comfortable with and what is a great fit for you. But I'd say those are general signs that it's not a great relationship. And it's especially if you're feeling like it's not two-sided, right? That it's not a partnership, that it is them, dictating to you how things are gonna go. And that's not the dynamic that we want to have with our clients, right? Big ones are also just like, they're not speaking kindly to you. They are not, in even the way they message you. If you've been clear about, oh, we only message in Slack, but they are hounding you on DMs, email, text, like whatever it may be, that's probably a sign, right? Now, the other kind of things are just kind of simply personality things, and also just a lot of, I think, mindset issues that clients go through that they put on their social media managers. So what I mean by this is, if you have a client who just doesn't understand how social media works, and they are, asking just countless kind of tech how-to type of things with social media, if they are, asking, I'm trying to think of a specific example off the top of my head, but if they, in terms of their personality, if they are, and I've dealt with this a lot, which it's kind of hard to explain, but they're not clear communicators. If you're chatting with them in Slack and it's really hard to just understand what they're saying, and they're not good about giving instruction or being, a CEO or managing people, if they're not good in those aspects of their business, that can be really difficult to work with. If they're expecting that, you can make a post go viral, or why hasn't every single post gotten 10,000 views, and why haven't I made a million sales, all of those types of things, where they're not understanding the ROI, they're not understanding investing in this. Those are all things that can just make it feel really icky and stressful to work with someone. Maybe they are just not getting you things at the deadlines, right? Maybe they are not doing anything else to help their social media, whether it be doing engagement or helping feed you things for content, right? Maybe they don't have a website or clear branding or any understanding of funnels, and all of those things can be very difficult to work with, understandably, right? So I would say taking into consideration what all of those signs may be in working with someone, and that it's okay to let go and fire a client when it's getting to the point of, it's not good for you anymore. It's not a good fit. They're driving you crazy, right? You're having to go over your capacity or outside of their container or package, and cross your own boundaries. That's not what this is about, right? That's not what we should be doing in our business. So how do we actually go about this process of firing and letting go of a client? So the first thing that honestly starts with your contract, and before you're even signing on clients, do you have it clear in your contract what this process would look like, in terms of, do you have a 30-day notice on either side, either party, to dismiss and cancel the contract? What does that look like in terms of how you would go about ending this contract? Or maybe you have a certain 3 months, and then after that you discuss about moving forward, or maybe you do a 1-month trial period. Whatever it looks like, have it be very clear in a signed contract that you can terminate this, and what that timeline looks like for termination. So once you know, and whatever that is for your business, make sure you are abiding and following by that contract. Now, I think there's kind of two sides to go about this discussion with a client, and I feel like it can be very circumstantial and dependent on your relationship, dependent on just how this client is and how you think that they are going to react. And sometimes, I would say situation A is just being very transparent and upfront, and maybe hopping on a call with them and just explaining what you have been feeling, and that it's just not a great fit for you anymore. And from there, just telling them that, this will be our last month working together, but here are some great recommendations for other people who may be a good fit for you, type of thing. And always doing this professionally, right? Doing this professionally, doing this expert-led, with like, this isn't like being like, you did this and you did that. Like, it's not that at all. But that's with more of someone who you think would be receptive, to feedback and things like that. So I would say that is option, one. Option two would be, if you're feeling not comfortable sharing with the client the kind of true feelings why you no longer want to work with them, whether it be what their reaction would be, whether it be just how you want to kind of end this relationship with them and still have, have them have a good taste in their mouth afterwards, would be to, and this isn't like you're not lying here, it's just you're giving what you're telling them in terms of why your contract is ending may just be an easier out for you. So meaning that you could tell them that, I'm not, taking on, your specific niche anymore, or I'm transitioning things in my business, for a different type of service, or, I'm realizing that, I'm at capacity, I can no longer manage your account, or like whatever it may be, some sort of discussion around that through maybe an email or message, and just having it be clear that after this month we will be offboarding, and again, here's a great resource or a great recommendation for someone else you could work with, is always helpful. And either route you take, making sure again you're being really clear on what the end date will be, what your offboarding process will look like, and carrying through with that through the offboarding process will again just really, it'll leave a good impression on this client, even if it hasn't been, the best experience on either side. And you can kind of end with peace of mind, right? About how it went. So that's what I would recommend in terms of, how to actually go about telling them and, firing them. And where I want to go next is typically what holds a lot of people back, and where you should go next in this process, which is, okay, I need to fill this slot, right? I need to find a replacement for this client who is actually a client I want to work with. So this is, obviously a bigger discussion in terms of marketing, lead gen, and sale, which is why I also touch upon those things in terms of making sure you have a wait list, right? You have like leads coming in, so that way when these situations do happen, you're not like left with like an overwhelm of trying to find someone, that you do have a pool of candidates to pull from. So that will be what you want to work on next, is filling that spot and making sure you go through the process to really make sure this client is a great fit, right? And overall, kind of just what I want to leave you with, and some messages that I think are important to hear, is that it is okay to let go of clients. It's okay to fire clients, and not every client is the best fit for you, and that it is the best feeling and such a relief when you get rid of that client who is just absolutely driving you crazy and causing you more stress than is worth. And that when you let go of that, you open yourself up to receive better and to receive more. You open yourself up to find the client of your dreams, right? To find your ideal client. You open yourself up to get someone who's willing, to pay you. We didn't touch upon that too much, but if you have people, right, who question your worth, right, question the investment, or aren't willing to pay you, or aren't willing to pay your raised prices, or are late on payments, those are huge things, right? And there are people out there who are more than willing to pay you for what you do, and who speak kindly to you, and who respect your boundaries. And so just know that there are better and more right fit clients for you out there. And everyone goes through this. Literally, everyone goes through this. You are not alone, and you can do this. I know it may seem hard, but it's kind of a muscle that you have to continually flex over time, right? And it gets easier and easier. While you don't want to be letting go of more and more people, hopefully before you sign people, you can get better at recognizing signs and those traits. but it gets easier to recognize and it gets easier to actually follow through with choosing you and choosing yourself and choosing your business and knowing that you are worth more and that you're worth working with people who you truly love and who love you back. And it's just such an amazing feeling when you go into each workday actually excited to serve these people and excited to work on their stuff versus feeling anxious and stressed having to do their work. Like, I've been there in both scenarios and I understand the feelings of both of those things. So if this has touched you in any way, if you have, learned something from this, I hope that you can take something away, even if it's just, a good little motivational speech. But if you're a social media manager and that you felt any level of support or help or guidance from this, I would love, love, love to invite you to join the waitlist for my mentorship for social media managers, my social media BFF, where what we discussed today is just a taste of what is inside this program, of what is inside our live calls, and that we touch on topics like this and go so deep and so personalized and custom to your business. So go ahead, and we're going to put the link in the description to join the waitlist for this program so that when I officially launch and am filling seats, you can be the first to know and grab your spot. And it'll also have the link for just all the information to know, what's included inside this program, what can you get out of this. And honestly, I have never done social media management before. If you're looking, maybe you're kind of a newbie or you're looking to scale your social media management business, I promise you can get something out of this mentorship. So go pop your name on the wait list. And thank you so, so much for tuning in. If you love this episode, if you got something out of it, please leave a review, please subscribe, follow, do all the things. It is so super helpful to me in creating this content for you. And as always, my DMs are always, always open for you to leave your thoughts, ask me questions. I love talking about all things, being a social media manager. So I am here for you, and I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll chat with you soon.